Be aware of these spiritual teachers and these pastors and preachers who teach you about Christ and tell you to just believe that because Christ died on the cross, you are forgiven. Be aware of these pastors and preachers who contradict Christ and try to teach you that Christ dying on the cross made you free without you practicing the things that Christ told you to practice. So be aware of these spiritual teachers who emphasize on the death of Christ, having saved you, rather than you living as the wishes of Christ, as the teachings of Christ, as Christ lived. So be aware of these spiritual teachers who want to put Christ on high standard, whereby they convince you that he is special and the things that he was doing were only for him and him alone because he was the Son of God. Be careful of these pastors and preachers who want to lead you to a state of just being believers and not practitioners of the teachings of Christ. I've seen a lot of them out there spreading a gospel of convincing the masses that all they need is to believe and have faith, uh, and everything will be okay, without emphasizing on the masses to love their neighbors as themselves, without emphasizing on the teachings that Christ taught. They put away the teachings of Christ and raise Christ on a higher place, whereby they put themselves on a lower place, where they said that guy was the only one that could do those things. We cannot. But if you really read the Bible, you'll realize that Christ taught and emphasized that the masses who followed him should practice and live by his teachings, by his footsteps. They should follow his footsteps, and he clearly said that if they persecuted him, you will also be persecuted living as himself. This was witnessed by his disciples who embodied his teachings and became examples that the way of Christ was practical to common human beings. This was seen in people like Peter, who at first denied Christ. This was witnessed by individuals like John, who wrote very wise teachings and very wise lessons. So this shows us that Christ meant his teachings to be practiced and not just being believers, empty believers without actions. In fact, James, a disciple of Jesus of Nazareth, after enlightenment, taught that faith without action is dead. So faith had to be accompanied by the teachings of Christ. You had to have faith, and on top of that faith, add the actions. Faith by itself will not save you. Faith by itself does not make you right. Only the teachings of Christ make you right. So be careful of pastors and preachers who want to emphasize and convince you that by the death of Christ we are all saved. No, we are not all saved. Only those who will practice the teachings of Christ will discover a higher way of living. They will discover the heaven, the peace, the eternal life that Christ taught about. So these individuals are the antichrists that were prophesied in the Bible to come, and they are already here. They are convincing the masses that we can be Christians yet hateful. We can have faith that Christ died for us and still maintain our love for money and for riches. They teach us that we can just have faith and continue living our selfish lives. This is a lie. This is a complete opposite of the teachings of Christ. Just confirm it for yourself, and you'll see that faith alone cannot put you right with God. Faith alone cannot put you right with Christ. It's only practicing his teachings, or this individual by the name of Christ's teachings, that one is made clean, that one is made righteous. It's only doing that which he commanded you, that which he taught you, that you are made clean, that you are made wiser, that you are made useful to the needy, to the suffering, to those who are weak. Only right actions can feed a hungry guy. Only a right action can forgive an enemy. Only a right act can do the things that Christ taught. And we've just said his disciples did this. They practiced it. They showed by examples that individuals who follow Christ can end up embodying Christ and facing the persecutions that Christ faced. These disciples of Jesus of Nazareth were clear proofs that a common human being can embody the teachings of Christ and live as James, as John, as Peter, as we can embody these teachings. They are not just for Jesus of Nazareth. He was an example. He was a teacher who was to lead us to a higher way of living, that is portrayed by the teachings from his disciples, who most of them ended up facing persecutions, and others end up being murdered by the system of the times. So, to be Christians, to be truly followers of Christ, you must follow in his footsteps. We must practice his teachings. Until next time, peace.